We don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Welcome back, everybody. Buenas noches. Buenas noches, muchachos. Estamos aquí en el... All right, never know. Enough. How's everybody feeling tonight? It's game week again, finally, after a disappointing bye week. At least we went 1-0, so that's good.
Right? Oh, we don't know yet.
We got a lot. We got a lot to cover today. Number one, obviously, it's game week. Canes get back at it. Go on the road for a revenge game as they take on Louisville on Saturday at 12. Plus, I mean, I don't want to say it's more important because we can't look ahead, all right? But we've got game time for FSU already. So I'm sure everybody's happy that it's a 7 p.m. game. So we'll talk about that a little bit, okay? Plus, last but not least, are the Canes getting enough respect in the polls and nationally, right? I'm a little pissed off about it. I got something to say about it. I'm sure everybody else does. And I think that we need to definitely talk about it because it's big news. And even you hear some morons like Joe Klatt and some other guys that are ranking us 10th or outside of the top, whatever. Anyways, I don't want to get into it because I'm going to get into it and I'm going to rant and then I'm going to forget to give a shout out to our sponsor.
Didn't even have to remind you. Look at this.
You see that? You see, I'm on point today, baby. Let's give a shout out to You Break Will Fix. Have you ever run over a pothole so hard your steering wheel shakes, constantly losing air in your tires that you need to keep adding air? Chances are there's an issue with your wheels, and You Break Will Fix is your solution. You Break Will Fix is Miami's premier wheel repair and restoration company. With over 20 years of experience and located in North Miami, You Break Will Fix offers quick repairs for damaged wheels and in most cases can offer free loaner wheels to keep you on the road while they repair your damaged wheels. If your wheels are looking weathered and it's time to freshen your car up, don't replace, refinish. Their in-house wheel refinishing solutions, such as powder coating, machining, and polishing, will give your car the like-new look it deserves. So contact Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 or on all social media outlets. It's at You Break Will Fix. The letter U, Break Wheel Fix. Mention 5 reasons and get 5.5% off your next repair. You Break Will Fix is located at 1848 Northeast 143rd Street in North Miami. It's 305-748-0112. Again, 305-748-0112. You Break Will Fix. All right. Let's get to it. It's game week, baby. It's game week, and the number 6 Miami Hurricanes are back in action against Louisville, which is somewhat of a revenge game, right? Obviously, last year we lost to them. Now, I will preface it by saying this is the L that I have on the schedule, Vish. This is the L you wanted to have on the schedule, and I took it from you.
Wait, don't burn me with your crap.
I took it from you, sir. All right. So
I have no L's, damn it.
yeah, now you got no L's. You're right. And well, we have no L's. So do I go back on that? We'll see on our predictions. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, this is a tough look. It's a tough game no matter what. Brian Brom is, I would probably say, one of the smartest offensive minds in college football, definitely in the ACC. He knows how to scheme up, his offenses. He's got, obviously, his brother Jeff is his offensive coordinator as well. They keep it in the family there over at Louisville with all the Broms coming through that program. So, but they do a really good job on offense. They've got some weapons over at Tyler Shug, Ja'Cory Brooks, Isaac Brown, and some of the other guys. I'll mention Don Chaney just because, but honestly speaking, they've got some good weapons. They've got some good, it's a good offense. And now on the other side of the football, the defense may be lacking some, right? They lost Devin Neal, I believe his name is, the safety, who decided to enter the transfer portal. And their defense is not the best. However, this is a game where Miami, again, look, they're going to scheme it and emulate what other teams have done. Can Miami come out and figure it out right away and not let it happen again? Because eventually it'll start catching up to you and bite you in the ass. I'll go around the horn. Vish, I'll start off with you on this game with Miami and Louisville. As I mentioned, do you consider this a revenge game? And what are your thoughts on the game as a whole? Get back after the bye, right? Big thing also after the bye.
Yeah. Don't really consider it a revenge game. It was a good game last year, tight, and then couldn't punch it in at the goal line, and series of unsportsmanlike conducts kind of took us out of the game a little bit there. And obviously the biggest play of the game for them was when two of our defenders ran into each other and gave them a touchdown. So it wasn't our finest moment, but I will say that the thing, I mean, you got to be a little bit concerned about the defense at this point when you look at struggling with Virginia Tech, who, again, I think is much better than their record, but Cal has not been able to move the ball on anyone but us. They struggled against Florida State in that loss. They put up 15 points against Pitt last weekend, and then they just went up and down the field. And so it is, you got to be a little bit concerned, as you said, with Brom as the coach and his ability to scheme things up that, we're going to need Guidry to counter that. It's been last two games were not good for the defense. And so the offense seems to always, even with struggling, find its footing at some point. Is the number one offense in the country. We should point that out. So, yes, we can outscore people, but I think, this is a big game for the defense to really, again, like I said, coming off a bye week. Louisville is not coming off a bye week, so we've had more time to prepare than the other way around.
I agree.
Let's see what we're made of defensively. Let's see if Guidry can scheme something up here. Again, it doesn't have to be a shutout or anything, but, force some punts, some 3-and-outs, that kind of thing. Get the ball back to the offense so you can build those gaps.
Right.
And early on, so we're not, chasing the game in the second half.
True. Facts, 100%. Now, Blue, two big things are important to know about this game. All right. First, I'm going to preface it by saying I'll believe it when I see it. But I think the two biggest things that we know about this game are Ruben Bain's going to play on defense. And according to what they're saying, Jalen Rivers is back at left tackle. I think those two things are going to play a huge part in what Miami can do, right? Like you're talking about one of the best left tackles in the game, getting back in it. Obviously, Ruben Bain, we know what he is. Some guys had an opportunity to get healthy over the bye week. All of that mixed in with, is Miami doing enough film work and getting prepared for what Louisville is going to do on offense, primarily on the defensive side of the football, but then also what they can do on offense with Jalen Rivers back. I know it doesn't sound like much, but for people who understand, Jalen Rivers is a damn good left tackle, and so now that left side of the field changes a little bit with how they attack it as well. Talk to me a little bit about those things, Blue.
Well, I mean, I share what Vish said about the concerns. Obviously, defensively, as we discussed before, Jazz. Look at California; they're 5 points from being undefeated in the conference. So, I mean, they played pretty good defense, and I think that's encouraging that their defenses have done real well, but Miami exploited them, especially with 200 and something yards in the fourth quarter. So that's a plus that Miami can score on anybody, I think. There's a big concern, though, that they can't get behind. They can't do what they did last week. They just can't. I mean, it's just, because things are going to run. They got to get on these good teams from the beginning and not fall behind. They got to. I mean, it's imperative that they're the ones up 14-10 at the half or 21-10 at half, and not the ones that are down, because it's, I know, the cardiac can't. Yeah, that's for PR. That's the luck is going to run out. They can't do this. So I just think that they have to play a better brand of football. I stood with Mario for about an hour and 20 minutes the other night at the St. Thomas Chaminade game, and we talked about those things. And I mean, he just said that we just got to correct things. We can't keep making the same mistakes, and he's right. You got to learn from the mistakes, and where they have talent, I still think their linebacker play gets deficient a lot of times. And you saw that in the Cal game where they kept going underneath, or Ott got, into that first line, and then the linebackers couldn't come up with a good play. We know the secondary is okay. And Brom's going to exploit it real quick. They're going to go out. They have a good tight end. Mention Brooks. 2 other receivers. They'll use Isaac Brown in space because he'll be one of the fastest guys on that field. So I just think Miami has to guard against those big plays. I would like to see Miami run the ball a little bit more. I think that they could run on this team. I watched them against Virginia, and they gave up some yards. So, I mean, I wouldn't be so, I know what they're going to mix it up like they have, and they're not going to listen to what I have to say, but it's sort of like, I watched the Alabama game last week, and South Carolina pretty much coaches poorly as you could. I mean, you get the lead and you start going 3 and out with passes rather than run. But I think Miami definitely is the better team. But, that means nothing if you don't win. And they just got to put it – to me, what concerns me, Vish, is they got to put together a good first half. They really have to. They got to come out of there winning 21-10 or something like that in the first half. Because I think the second, when they make adjustments on things that went wrong, then I think they'll be fine. But they just can't play defensively like they have because you're living on the edge. And like you said, Cal's not a great offensive team, but yet they yielded a lot of points and a lot of yards. So, yeah, that's the thing that bothers me. If their defense, Miami's defense, has to come to play. Because they're, like I said, you even said it, Jazz. Brom is one of the best offensive minds they have in college football. And believe me, I'm sure he's watched millions of hours of film, not so much on Florida A&M or Ball State, but the last 2 games.
Yep, I agree.
And we did win a road game, so one jinx is broken. We'll see if we can jinx the after bye week jinx. It's been a while since balloons. We're celebrating that win. And then actually, Blue, you mentioned the last 2 games. Actually, if you recall, I mean, we ended up blowing them out, but the USF the first half was ugly too.
Yeah.
So it's been a while since we played a good first half.
For as ugly as that Cal game was, the defense actually played well in the second half. They only gave up 10 points. It looks like 17 because Cam threw that pick 6, but they only gave up 10 points. They kind of tightened up. They played a lot better in that second half.
No 3 and outs. the entire second half. That comeback was a miracle.
Yeah, it was tough.
Didn't force a turnover, didn't get a 3-and-out. The one time they were going to, the face mask gave him an automatic first down when Barron grabbed the quarterback's face. Like, even at the end there, it gave up a long run on first down when Cal was trying to run the clock out and stopped him the second time through. It was hanging on for dear life, man.
It was. But,
and that
they played better. The defense did play better, even though they didn't give up. There wasn't any 3-and-outs. They still played better, right? I mean,
the 10 points they gave up is worse than Cal did on average per half against Pitt for the whole game and FSU for the whole game. So it was still not. Cal's offenses should not have been able to do that.
Cal got into the red zone 5 times against FSU and they didn't score.
Right.
They screwed up a lot. Mm-hmm. So can they move the football? I think they can move it a little bit better than we think, but they're still not a great offense. So I mean, Jaden,
we got to tighten up.
Yeah, we do. That's just the bottom line. Now, Blue mentioned something, DJ, that I think is important to kind of point out now is that Miami's got to run the football more efficiently earlier in the game. And look, they didn't do a bad job actually running the football early in that game against Cal, right? They ran for about 80-something yards, 85, 87 yards in the first half. But now you're talking about a team that has to throw their way back into this game. So this gives you an opportunity. Now, the biggest thing is, again, Jalen Rivers is back. What does that do for this offensive line now and for the running game? Do you think that they've got an opportunity to come out and really establish that run and be able to use a pass as a real weapon and kind of, go running away with this one?
Having Rivers back certainly helps, but honestly, with the talent that the running backs have themselves, they have an opportunity to establish the run on any given game day. I thought, like you mentioned, they started off really well against Cal in the run. They got the ball to Fletcher early, and he was able to make some plays. And because of the way the game kind of turned out, they weren't able to run the football as much as the game progressed. But I really liked what I saw from Fletcher, and I do think the return of Rivers allows them a little bit more flexibility in terms of the run game. Now, will they go back to it, or will they fall in love with Cam Ward and the wide receivers? Because it's easy to fall in love with them too, but I would love to see them run the football a bit more.
Yeah, I agree. On the other side of the football is Lance Guidry has he kind of figured out I've got to do a better job. Now look, for all of that, I read somewhere that our linebacking core has been really good as far as like ranked in the country, and that they're actually not doing bad at all. Now we can kind of talk about that one play with Jaden Knott that Popo decided to blitz instead and doing his assignment and whatnot. The defense is typically
it's so hard to rate a unit like that because you play defense as a team,
right? And
it's hard to tell whose responsibilities are what. We've been getting bless you, Blue. You all right over there?
Yeah, I get it. Forgot to mute myself.
It's hard to tell, whose assignment is what, and we've been getting up a lot of chunk plays.
Yeah,
and it's very easy for us that are like insane to look and be like, oh, that guy screwed up, but that won't necessarily show up on a macro analysis of 6 games of statistics.
Yeah,
not to mention
Yep.
the first 3 games, including UF, so it wasn't just cupcake. Well, you can decide whether UF's a cupcake or not, but it was a big major program. We're so dominant. Our stats are still a little bit skewed by that.
Sure, makes sense.
Like it was complete bloodbaths in all 3 of those games. Like we gave up 1 play to UF,
right?
Basically. So I mean so when you do that, your stats are going to look good. So there's some things that need to be cleaned up. But again, it's a lot of it is the big plays, the chunk plays. We can clean those up and force teams to at least drive a little bit more. I think we'll be fine. We've done a lot of giving up long plays in 3rd and longs. I'm sure that they've had 2 weeks now to look at this and get it fixed. So I'm confident. Of course, I'm confident. I've always been confident this year, but I'm confident they'll come out much better. But there are, you'd be lying to yourself if you didn't look at them like, all right, there's some stuff you guys need to fix.
Yeah.
But they've had 2 weeks to do it, and they look correctable.
Right. I agree.
I'm a little nervous about Braum just in terms of his ability to, scheme up plays and put the ball in the hands of his best players at all times. I mean, I remember watching him at Purdue, and he did a good job of making sure that Aiden O'Connell got the ball out quick and got the ball to his weapons, and he was very good at exploiting the weaknesses of his opponents. So I'm wondering what he'll do. It's going to be a fascinating chess match in that regard.
This is why I think that, as Ralph mentioned here, I think Guidry still has a sour taste in his mouth from last year's Louisville game. I think he'll badly want payback. Look, I think that you've got to have that mentality that you're pissed off about last week, you're pissed off about last year against Louisville, and you got to come out and you got to kick ass, right? Like, that's just the bottom line. That's the type of football we're going to have to play. We've seen that Guidry's been able to make some adjustments. He's been able to do some really good things. He's also, maybe, some of the stuff just haven't put players in the right position and we've given up some plays. But I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is execution. You have to execute on both sides of the football. If you do that, I think that Miami wins. I don't want to say without a problem, but I think they win and they do it in a nice fashion, right? So we'll see what happens there. We'll talk about predictions in just a second. However, I want to go over this really quick because this is something that I have a sour taste in my mouth, and I think that Vish does as well. Maybe some other, and I know Blue, you must also. But this idea that top 4 programs continue to lose football games and continue to stay in the top 4, top 5, and don't move. And then you want to talk about how Miami, how those teams, Georgia lost to Alabama, and Penn State just got by USC, and USC is such a great team, and blah, 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 blah. You got all these teams, and, Tennessee and Oregon and Ohio State, and Oregon, Oregon must be amazing, and Ohio State is amazing as well. They're just, all this talk about how good these football teams are, and the teams that they're losing to are much better than the teams that we are beating. I think it's simply put, it's a little bit disrespectful to the University of Miami, considering it, and I talked about this, Blue, earlier today, right? Look at their schedule, right? Look at Miami's schedule now. Look at Miami's schedule last week and how the nation was talking about it being the number 2 strength of schedule, yet you're still disrespecting them and not moving them up in the polls when other teams in the top 4 and top 5 are losing. I think is a slap in the face. Like, don't give me that crap about how they have such a tough schedule and then not do anything about it or give them the respect they deserve, right? That's a little bit, it's a backhanded compliment if you ask me. I think it's complete horse crap. And at the end of the day, the teams that we've played already, you're talking about, UF obviously looking a little bit better, playing a little bit better football now. They gave Tennessee everything that they could handle. Does that mean that UF is better? Does that mean Tennessee is not that good? Why is Tennessee not moving back enough? Right? Like, all of this is really driving me a little crazy. Blue, you mentioned that, if Oregon and Boise State play again, Boise State probably could beat them. If Ohio State plays whoever it is, let's say they play Georgia or they play Alabama or they play Clemson, they could probably drop that game also. Like, there's a lot of parity in college football right now, and there's a lot of really good football programs. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to tell me that Miami doesn't deserve to move up in the polls because all these other teams are playing these great teams, then I think it's a little disrespectful. Vish, I want to kind of get your take on how you feel about this whole thing, because we've spoken about it. You've kind of mentioned it before. Yeah. How Miami doesn't get enough respect, or we talk about how, they haven't beat anybody, or they almost lost, but they won, but they're going to knock us for it, and they don't knock anybody else.
Yeah, before I give my thoughts, can we play our ad?
Sure.
Let's do that.
There we go. Guess what, everyone? Football is back, and it's here to stay until February. Did you know that you can enhance your football viewing experience with Underdog Fantasy? Join over 1 million fans across 33 states that made picks on Underdog last year. My personal favorite is the higher-lower plays on my favorite NFL players on Sunday mornings after watching the Canes win on Saturday. The website is easy to use, and the plays are easy to make. I love playing CeeDee Lamb higher rushing yards and waiting for the Cowboys to run a reverse. I never got into fantasy football because I didn't want to cheer against my own team, but with Underdog Fantasy, I can support my team by making picks for higher stat lines. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code 5REASONS. That is the word 5 reasons spelled out FIVEREASONS. And Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code 5REASONS, to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit over.
Must be 18 or over. 19 or over in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 or older in Colorado for some games. 21 or older in Massachusetts and Arizona. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, dial 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369.
Whew.
Aren't you glad I pre-recorded that?
This is not
Is the show still on?
Look, man. If we don't read the disclaimers correctly, we get into trouble. There's gambling involved.
This is true.
I need gambling help, Vish. I'm not the one to help you, but go to ncpgambling.org.
Oh man.
You can't have fear of mid-level teams. Okay, so we don't have fear of them, but let's circling back to what Jazz said, and
Yeah.
So yeah, we're underranked based on resume. I think that's pretty obvious because they're basically ranking us with teams that have lost games.
Right.
So I don't know. That doesn't really make sense. We're in a situation now where our close wins are treated worse than our team's close losses. Again, doesn't make sense. So yeah, and there is, and I do see a lot of people say, well, just win all your games and then you don't have to worry about that. That's true, right? If they can. This is not the situation that happened to Florida State, because they did win all their games. does not apply this year because the ACC champion automatically gets a top 4 spot in the playoffs. So, but I think we could all envision a scenario where the Canes go 12-0 and play a close game with Clemson, which is basically a road game in the ACC championship game, and lose. And then they're sitting there looking at like a 3-loss Georgia who's inexplicably ranked ahead of us. So, if FSU made that mistake of just like, oh, it'll work itself out. It doesn't work itself out. There is extreme bias in the system. The results appear to only matter a little bit versus like what they decided was the way things were before the year started. Alabama has a great win over Georgia. However, they've only played one good half of football this year. They were really bad against USF. They lost to Vanderbilt. I mean, how are they up there? Georgia has a
and they should have lost to South Carolina.
Right.
Horrible coaching. Horrible coaching.
And then, you could say the same thing for Georgia. They lost to Alabama, which is not a bad loss, of course. I mean, if that idiot Stoops doesn't punt from the 40, they lose to Kentucky. Like, he's never going to live that down. When they were driving for the go-ahead score, they've caught. Again, that's fine. That's a close win. But somehow, again, the Canes are punished for their close wins without even losing a game, and teams with losses and close wins. I mean, Tennessee, as Jazz mentioned, has a bad loss to Arkansas and then needs overtime to beat that UF team we kicked the crap out. And they played them at home. We played them on the road. And even with the loss, it doesn't seem to matter. So it's all convoluted. It's based on conference reputation and what they ranked before the season started, not on how the teams actually play. And yes, for everyone wondering, there is definitely a scenario where the Canes get screwed out of the playoffs for losing a single game. Because at this point, the way they've done this, if Miami loses one game, Georgia or Ohio State or Alabama is going to have to lose 2 more games for them to be ranked behind Miami. Because right now, there's a 1-loss delta, and they're still basically ranked even or ahead, even with an extra loss. So you got to think 1 loss more is not enough. It's got to be 2 losses more. So those teams need 3 losses before they're going to rank Miami in front of them. That's insane. That's where it is. And it's a problem. It's a problem because that's how it's not just, this is not like the NFL where like it's Skip Bayless or whatever shouting like this team sucks or whatever, and it doesn't actually matter because the standings determine who gets what. No, this is people's opinions determine who's in the playoff. And that again, that's a big problem when they're saying that these teams that they decide before the year were good, whether or not they proved it or not, need to lose 2 more times than Miami in order to be ranked behind them. That, if you don't think it's going to bite us in the ass if we drop a game, you're out of your mind. And everyone that's right now saying, don't worry about it, just win your games. We lose 1 game, that's when they're going to freak out. And also, like,
Ralph brings up a great point. I love what he said there. I can see an ACC championship Miami, ACC champ Miami and runner-up Clemson get in, but not the reverse.
I don't think so. I think it's the other way. I think if Clemson gets a second loss, they're done too. This is all about where the money is. This is the same thing at FSU. It's where the money is.
You're right.
They're going to maximize the number of SEC teams and Big Ten teams in there because that's where the TV has invested the money. They are vested in this is the best football played, period. Whether or not it actually is irrelevant.
Yeah, but they lost it because they're making it seem like Clemson is a national championship contender now. So yeah, but if we were to beat them, if we were to lose to them, they would still kill us for it. And if we were to beat them, they're going to get them the hell out of there because that's not where the money is. The money is not in having 2 or 3 ACC teams or 2 Big 12 teams in there. It's having as many SEC and Big 10 teams in there because that's where they spent the money. The people that spent the money, the TV networks, are the same ones that run the playoff committee. Yep, 100%.
Paid for the playoff games and all of that. They need those conferences to be unquestionably better than everyone else to justify that investment. This is just dollars and cents.
Yep, I know.
Same thing happened to Florida State last year. There was no way they were going to not have an SEC team in the playoffs after ESPN spends billions of dollars because it's the best conference and has the best teams. If Texas had not gone in and won at Alabama last year, Texas would have been out there and they would have put Florida State in. They could not put Bama in without putting Texas in because Texas beat them on the field, and that cascaded all the way out to kicking Florida State out. But there was no way they were going to skip the ACC. The other thing is if the SEC, if Georgia had just beat Bama in the conference championship game, they would have been in, and Florida State would have been in instead of Texas. But they couldn't leave the conference out. And so you think, and all the new playoff does is it push that down to the lower level. Because now the conference champs get in. But if you think the second place ACC team is getting in over the 4th place SEC team, there's going to be a debate about that right now. Look where they're putting them in the rankings.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm glad that you did because that was my next topic that I wanted to throw. Blue threw it at me. I'm going to throw it at you, Blue. How underrated do you think the ACC is? Or you can say, does the ACC not get enough love? Because look, I mentioned it, right? 12 out of the 17 teams are either 500 or better. And they have good records, and it's good football. It's not like they're getting lucky. They're kicking ass, right? Like they're beating some people handily. Do you think that they're not getting enough love? Do you think that they're underrated? What's your thoughts on that, and how could that affect Miami, as Vish was mentioning?
I think all the concentrations on the SEC Big Ten. So obviously ACC goes into the conversation as a low on the totem pole. And I think that if people don't realize that there's some really good football programs in the ACC. And I said that, earlier tonight, that I just don't think that, people are regarding the SEC or the ACC as, being one of those conferences. But I will tell you this, they'll match up. With basically anybody, we talk about Miami and Clemson. I think Miami and Clemson undoubtedly are the 2 top teams in the ACC. So, and we've seen that Miami, it's just that it's so, I think I understand what Vish was saying. I think they're setting themselves up, with their rankings. So they could say at the end of the year, well, they've been here, they've been at number 5 with 4 losses since the third week. So I think that's what they're doing. They're just not giving any respect. Like I said, I watched the Boise Oregon game. Boise just outplayed them in every physical way. Just made 2 mistakes at the end. Oregon let up 515 yards at home. Come on. And that's what I'm saying. And they don't think anything of Boise. They're a Mountain West team. So that's what I'm saying. I think that the people who, I just think they're living in the past, with all this. And I just think they're vastly underrated. I really do. There's some really good football being played in the ACC, and all the Big Ten fans and all the SEC fans can say BS all they want, but it's a fact.
Yeah.
Well,
It is about the dollars.
The other side of this,
Ralph makes up a point. It is like Vish said. Financially, it is about the dollars. I mean,
but it's also, Blue, to your point too. It's not just the whole conference it's not an all-star game where you're picking the best player. It's you have one team. You could have the best team in the country in the worst conference.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just because they're in a conference doesn't automatically make them good. You have to actually watch how the teams play. And this whole system is stupid because who could possibly watch all of these games?
No.
Most of these people voting are beat writers following a team around. Like in fact, in the Associated Press, they tell you which team that writer covers. Which I will leave your comments about beat writers to one side. They're clearly watching just that team play. How could you possibly have time to watch anything else? You fly out to wherever they're playing. You get in the press box 3 hours before the game. You check out the lineups. You report on that. You watch the game. You go to the press conference afterwards. When did you have time to watch another game? You didn't, but you're going to vote anyway? This whole thing doesn't make any sense. And the other people voting, the coaches, I think they're busy on Saturdays when games are being played. I'm just going to throw that out there.
David brings up a good point, right? We'll see how good Georgia is. They play Texas this weekend.
Yeah, if they lose that and another one, Jazz, they might be behind us.
They might, maybe.
Yeah, we gotta lose a couple more.
It depends on the scores, by the way. Depends on the score. Oh man, hey, look at Andres back. I haven't seen Andres in a while in the chat. What's up, man? Good to see you back on the grind here with us, man. DJ, your thoughts on this whole thing with the ACC not getting enough love, Miami not getting enough love in the polls, or maybe you go the other way. Maybe you think that they are ranked exactly where they should be. What do you think?
I think both things can be true because I think honestly how we struggled with Virginia the other weekend was kind of hurt our chances a little bit in terms of being a top 4 team. However, I will say that the money is with the Big Ten and the SEC. And like Vish, kind of talked about, they already have these rankings preset when the season falls, and it takes a lot to get them out of there. I mean, the fact that Alabama is still in the rankings in the top 10 is absolutely absurd. The fact that Michigan is even in the top 25 at all is absolutely absurd. So, I think – you guys made a great point about the beat writers as well. They only cover one specific team. They don't really watch a lot of, college football as a whole in terms of what happens on game day. And, I think the whole voting system needs to be kind of, I don't know, kind of modified. I always equate it back to the Baseball Hall of Fame, voters and the beat writers there too, who still hold grudges over a certain player or who may not know a certain player, and yet they still get a vote and they still get one every single year. And, I just think there's got to be a better way to do this. And, for what it's worth, the college football playoff has created a little bit more parity, not as much as we would like to see, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think, the ACC, as unfortunate as it may sound, will never get the kind of love that the SEC and Big Ten do, and I think it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. And it stinks because when you look at the ACC teams, for example, they may not play sexy football, but they play very good football, especially maybe not just the Miamis and, the Clemsons, but the middle-tier teams as well. I mean, there's some good games to be played, and because they're not in the Big Ten or SEC, many people don't even know about it.
Well, we also talk about oh my gosh, Boston College started off so good. Where they go? They're still 4-2. I don't know if people realize that they're still 4-2. And I know Anthony mentioned about a merger with the ACC and the Big 12. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, man. I get why for money wise and stuff like money and stuff. But yeah, I'm not, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. So, but I will say this, like, that's one team, right? Syracuse. You talk about Syracuse and say, well, they look kind of bad against one team. Well, yeah, I mean, it happens. They're still 4-2, right? Like Pitt is undefeated right now, right? Pitt is 5-0 or 6-0.
First time since Marino was there, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good team, man. They got a hell of a quarterback over there, Eli Holstein. They got that kid, that wide receiver Reed. They're
running back Reed from Miramar High School.
Running back, you're right. It's a running back. I'm sorry, running back
from Miramar.
Good players, man. Good football players over there, right? Yeah. So Virginia Tech, I think they're at 500 or maybe even 4-2. I'm not even sure now.
4-2.
Yeah, another team that's 4-2. And you're talking about, and we're here talking about, Miami hasn't played any good football teams, and Virginia Tech's a hell of a damn team. They're a tough football team, and I forgot, but Caleb Spencer's over there, and he did some damage in that game too. He played.
He did.
Shout out to a former Miami Hurricane there. But, look, at the end of the day, you got to control what you can control, right? That's all we can do, and that's winning football games. You got to keep winning. Just win. That's what I've been saying a lot. I know that's the motto for something. I think Flo has it on a T-shirt and everything. But just win football games. Just win your games. Forget about what everybody else is saying, what everybody else is doing. This is when Miami is at its best, when they don't give a crap about what anybody says and just go out there and compete. That's it. You got to be the Miami Hurricanes. You got to control what you can control, and that's who you're playing. You can't control the schedule. You can't control the team's records. You can only control the outcome of the game, and that's you winning it. Bottom line, that's it. If you do that, you're set. You'll be in the playoffs, okay, and you'll be one of the top 4 teams, and that's all you got to do. But at the end of the day, Miami needs to do – they do need to do a better job. I know we've all mentioned that they all need to do it, but, they need to do a better job, especially on defense. And, Cam Moore's just got to keep doing his thing. That defense is tighten up a little bit, and I think that it's going to be tough to beat this team. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Texas. I don't care if you're Georgia, Alabama, Penn State. Look, Penn State. I don't know if they're the number 4 team in the country. Okay, let's just call it how we see it, right? And they'll start playing tougher teams. They'll start playing Ohio State. Well, no, they'll play Ohio State, right? They'll play Ohio State and some other tough teams soon, and we'll see how good they are. And the same thing with Ohio State. We'll see how good they are. We'll see how good Texas and Georgia is, right? Because now it starts to get – it's crunch time now, baby, and now it gets tough for everybody. So throw strength of schedule out the door.
I will say the one thing that we didn't really talk about before the Cal game, like their defense, I believe, was number 1 in the country coming in that game. Virginia Tech has a top 20, I want to say, defense, one of the best defensive lines in the country. This offense can score on anyone.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm not sure about the quality of defense some of these SEC teams are playing these days. This isn't your daddy's SEC where they're giving up the points. As Jazz was saying, put us on the field, line us up with someone. We're going to score points. Cam Ward will score on them. And so we can beat anyone.
That's it. That's all we got to do. Keep winning. No, you're getting ahead of us here, but yes,
we got to beat Louisville first. Beat Louisville first.
We got to beat Louisville, and then I don't care if they wear purple. I don't care if they wear neon yellow. I just want them to win the football game, and that's it.
Neon yellow. I might care if they wear neon yellow.
Yeah, none of that neon yellow shit.
Yeah,
come on, man.
I really don't care. Just
glow in the dark uniforms. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool, right? See, there you go. No, anyway, seriously though. Kind of want to end it with this. We got good news, and we got good news for Miami and bad news for FSU, baby. Game time has been set for the Miami FSU game in 2 weeks for 7 o'clock. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. What more could you want, right? But to be under the lights
on ESPN. Wow, that's what a risk they're taking.
That's it, man. That's it against
FSU. It's not really a risk because we're one of the teams. So.
No, I know, but a 1-6 team potentially.
Who do they play this week?
Somebody they're going to lose to.
All right, someone they're going to lose to. All right, I'll take that. Yeah, man. And so you're talking about under the lights. I'm excited about that game because we finally get a chance to tailgate appropriately. and watch the Canes whoop up on that ass. But anyways, they play Duke. Okay, yeah, 1-6.
Like I said,
1-6 is definitely in play.
Yeah, it's definitely in play.
Manny.
The fighting Manny Diaz's.
I will say I'm looking at the schedule for 2 weeks from now, Blue. It's not that much of a risk. There's only 2 games between 2 ranked teams. One is Missouri at Alabama. We all know what I think about Missouri.
Exactly.
And then the other one is LSU at A&M, which they do have the option of putting either of those games at 8 p.m. as well. Right. So they
Both
flexed it.
Good, honestly.
Yeah, they flexed it. So one will be at 3:30 and one will be at 8. They don't like to put those 8 SEC games against each other.
Game day will be at one of those 2. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, no, they'll probably be. Didn't they already? They went to the Notre Dame game, right? So when they played at A&M, so maybe it'll be. Maybe they'll go to Bama, but they've been there too. I don't know. They should come to Miami.
Yeah,
game day.
Sure. Hey, they went to Cal, right? Yeah, well, that turned out to be.
They'll be at Texas, Georgia this week.
That almost killed Reese Davis when they went to. We were doing time conversion. We're like, this is not a good idea to host a show that starts at 9 a.m.
Well, they were smart. They stayed over there for the following week. They stayed in Oregon. They went to Oregon, so.
It was not. Yeah, but the Oregon game wasn't. But they sent. It was a night game. So yeah, I guess they did. It was a night game.
But did you see what they did to Herb Street? Right?
Yeah, they barely made the kick.
Unbelievable, man. I don't know how he does it. Anyways, predictions. What do we got?
Well, first the line opened at Louisville -1. It is now the Canes +4.5 or 5, depending on where you look. So it's moved heavily in our direction. Or -4.5.
-4.5. Interesting.
It started at Louisville -1, so it's swung about 5 points, 5.5 points.
Wild that they would even think about making Louisville a favorite in this game. Like, it's so. Anyway, I don't even want. I don't.
Let it out, Jazz. Let it out.
This is what I'm talking about. The lack of respect for our program. Like, they can all go fly a kite. Let's just put it.
It's the bullshit they say, but then when it came down to it, everyone's like, "Oh, screw that," and they put money on us. That's why the line moved 5 points.
Yeah, right.
With your wallet at stake, all of a sudden you find Jesus on this stuff.
That's
go at themselves. DJ, what do you got?
I got Miami 33, Louisville 21.
Did you have this as a loss for Miami before?
I did, but I didn't think Cam Ward was going to be this damn good.
All right. Blue, what do you got?
34-30 Louisville.
Ooh.
But Vish, you must like that because last time I picked against them, they won.
Damn,
He's
Blue.
sticking to his guns. You
Okay,
got to respect
Blue.
I said they'd lose 3 at the beginning of the year, and I thought that Louisville and Syracuse would be the 2.
All right. Well, you were wrong already once, so hopefully.
Yeah, well, so there you go.
Vish, what do you got, man?
What is it going to take to convince Blue? I'll go, obviously, Miami 37 to 29.
37-29.
Hey, Vish, to answer that, maybe not getting down by 25. That might convince me.
Yeah, if Miami comes out and destroys Louisville, I don't think he's picking anybody to beat Miami the rest of the season.
No.
That's
Ralph is on it, man. Ralph is on it. 45-42. This is my favorite segment.
Listen, you were close last week, dude. You were close 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you almost nailed it.
Yeah.
That secondary will keep Louisville in the game. So.
Oh, man. Vish, what do you got, man? Oh, you already said it. My bad.
37-29, man.
37-29. Look, yeah, I had him with the L this week, right? I had him with the L this week, but I just can't see them. They can't lose, man. They can't lose. If they lose, they screw everything up. That's just the bottom line, right? Like, we talked about it the whole entire night. If they lose, it makes it harder for anybody to even respect us even more. You got to win this game. And I think they do. I think that 2 weeks of and they kill the bye week curse as well. And I think Miami comes out and they win. I think it's a good game. It's a tough game, and I think Miami puts 35 on the board. So let's go 35-20, Miami. Oh, look, David has the same sky.
Isn't that what I said too, or did I say 34-20?
Oh my God!
What I said.
I don't remember what you said. You said 35-20. That a boy, Dave. There you go. 35-20 Canes. I think that Miami does their thing. So I really hope that they come out firing on all cylinders blue, because like you said, man, if they go down big, it's going to be tough. This is going to be a tough one. So they can't do that, man. But we'll see. We'll see. I hope they don't.
That 12 o'clock kickoff might help.
Yeah, it might.
52-30.
Well, there is a cold front coming through, so it's probably going to be nice and cool in Louisville. I don't think the temperature is going to be too bad anyways. So just hit them. Just hit them hard and beat the living daylight out of them. That's it. Bottom line. But before we go, we must do what we are here to do. And that's show and tell with Larry Bluestein.
Oh,
Take you back to 1987, guys.
Woo! Technology, baby.
National championship year.
Kerwin Bell on the cover. I think that's Danny Cannell. Is that him?
How did Kerwin Bell get the big spread here? And
Danny Cannell.
Yeah.
Now let's go inside where we got a nice lifelike picture here.
Okay.
Maybe
lifelike picture. Is it AI generated there? 1987 AI generated.
Huh?
The AI? It's an AI picture.
Who do you think would you think that the marquee picture is of that year?
87.
87. Is it Michael Irvin?
Well, Michael Irvin was on the cover.
He was on the cover. So
that was him on the cover. Okay.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson. I don't know.
No, it's a player.
Steve Walsh.
That was a good guess. Let me just you know what? I bookmarked the damn thing.
That's okay.
Wait a minute. Okay, I got it. Okay, here we go.
Steve Walsh?
No, I know. It's a defensive player.
Ted Hendricks?
No, not
Hendricks. DJ's too young, man. Hendricks was like 20 years before that.
Yeah, I am.
It's all just old stuff.
Hey, hold on,
DJ.
before you show it, it's a defensive player. Kevin Patrick.
Daniel Stubbs.
Daniel Stubbs. You got it.
For the win.
You got it, bitch.
Damn it, no one can see me raising my hands in victory because this blue was full screen.
And that's a good point, Fish. All of this is like ancient dinosaur history to me. You're right.
Hey,
I thought you enjoyed that.
Right?
I did.
That was good. Daniel Stubbs. That was good.
For next week, I'm going to break out the 19.
But don't tease it. No, don't tell us.
No one will watch.
make the people show up and stick to the end.
That's right.
So
That's right.
It's very entertaining and it's also a marketing ploy. So you got to stay to the end if you want the show.
Can we get it sponsored? Show and tell.
You want a third sponsor? You're getting
another shirt.
I'm getting optimistic here, Blue.
I don't know how many shirts I want to do now. We haven't done any damn shirts. Like, Jesus Christ. My goodness. Anyways, make sure you tune in. You watch us every Monday on YouTube here on the Five Reasons Canes 5 Reasons Canes Network. Jesus. Or you can catch us on the Canes podcast. Anywhere you get your Apple Podcasts, just type in 6 Rings or subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever it is that you get it. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well at 6 Ring Canes. And yes, Buckets does return on Wednesday night. So you've got a big show for that.
I guess we have F1 tomorrow because it's a race this weekend.
Yeah, I guess we do have F1 tomorrow. We got F1
so look out for that. Look out for that.
Baseball will be coming soon. I know fall ball just started. Practice and scrimmages just started for fall ball for Miami Hurricanes baseball. They got a pretty good squad over there this year. Let's see if they can put it together. And, by the way, this is a shameless – maybe we can get some advertising from them. And I'm not saying it because of that, but I'm saying it because I saw their commercial earlier today. But Subbies has a Yonder sub, a Yonder Alonzo sub, okay, which is it's a cheesecake. I like it. I'm down. I'm going to go get one at Subbies. I love Subbies. I had it this past weekend. Anyways, I digress. The sub is a Philly cheesesteak sub.
Ooh.
With a little bit of mayo, right? You've got your cheesesteak. You've got
You ruined it. You lost me.
Mayo? How can you not like mayo on a cheesesteak?
Mayo on a damn cheesesteak?
I'm a mayo guy all day. Give me the mayo. And then chopped up plátano maduro. Maduro's on top of it.
Bobby Maduro?
Bobby Maduro, yeah. Chopped up plantains right on top of it. It's called the Yonder. If you go to Subbies and get a sub, ask for the Yonder, and 50% of the whatever it is that you pay for the sub goes to Canes Connection to fun NIL deals for the baseball program, which is kind of nice that Subbies is doing that as well. So check them out. Canes,
And since we're plugging stuff,
buy
buy a hoodie. Go
your
to
purchase where? Here? No, but get your hoodie anyways.
yeah. Go to aboutthefans.com, search for Hoodie Girl. If you enter the code HG10, you'll get 10% off.
There you go. There you go.
Is she giving all the money to us or what? No.
It has cost me money as I've been giving them out as gifts. So
Wishful thinking there. Yeah. Guys,
all of us but DJ were born in 87.
yeah,
I was born in 95.
I was not born in 87. But anyways,
But what the hell was this party I went to a couple years ago?
yeah, not that far.
What were we celebrating?
I wasn't born in 87. Not far. 83.
I think he meant by 87. I don't think he meant exactly that.
Gotcha.
I wasn't even a thought in 87.
Shit.
Yeah.
Forget it. I'm out of this conversation.
I think he meant in the year 1907 were you already born.
Nope.
Yes, three or four. You got 3 or 4 there.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching us. Make sure you keep it locked here on Twitter and follow all of us on Twitter and everywhere else that you get your podcasts. We appreciate you chiming in, and we'll see you guys for post game potentially.
Oh, let's talk. We could do something here.
That's why I said potentially.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. Adios.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.